the link there on YouTube, where we're also live streaming. And so you're welcome to join us. This is a free event, and we're just work in the waiting room. We are recording for those of you on Zoom, but we will not put you on camera unless you choose to come on camera and talk. We'll just do the speaker view. And in fact, to get us started here, I'm going to spotlight us, Julie. And I think I'll also make you co-host, so you have some, I can't. I'll still try again. Okay, so what we're going to, just how this is going to work, and I can't make you co-host, maybe there's too many of us, or maybe I'm not. Well, will you please make me co-host? So the way this is going to work is I'm going to introduce us officially, and then Julie's going to introduce our topic. And then we would like to hear from you. And we are happy to take any questions. We also have, we have plenty to say. We could just talk the whole time. And I see someone's here on Instagram from Denmark. Welcome. And so we want to hear from you. We love taking your live content. And so please raise your hand, put it in the chat. If you would like to come on screen and do some live coaching, we might even be willing to do that. It's our goal to end by a quarter of the next hour, whichever time zone you happen to be in. And so without further ado, I'll officially introduce us. Hello, everyone. My name is Alane Freund. I'm an international consultant on high sensitivity, and I am highly sensitive. I was just noticing the glare of my glasses was driving me bonkers, so I turned my screen light down. And I am here with my friend and colleague, Julie Cusmariu. And Julie is also a parenting professional, highly sensitive mom. And we were joking, or I've been joking around both on Instagram and with Julie, saying that I'm your auntie and Julie's your sister, and we've joined your village. And we just want to talk about what's hard, what's easy, what works, what doesn't work. What is it about having a more reactive brain in parenting? So I'll toss the ball to you, Julie.
So good to be here. Welcome, everyone. Thank you for those who I know who are joining. For those who will be watching the recording, I'm in Montreal, which is known as Tiohtià:ke, unceded Indigenous land from the territory of the Kanien'kehá:ka people, and just acknowledging where I sit and stand. It's always a pleasure to be with, well, I'm not standing right now, but I'm sitting, to be with you, Alane, and to welcome the community that you have gathered, and to welcome the people that I know and that I will get to meet. I'm looking here at Zoom. I'm also looking at Instagram. If I don't look at Instagram, I'll be looking at Zoom. And like Alane said, we'll be doing our best to meet you and to respond to what it is that you're seeking and wanting. We're going to be delving into topics that have come up. They come up with my clients. I'm a executive life coach, life coach, a mentor coach. I host a podcast where I first got to meet Alane, and it's called Julie in Conversation. I interview people who are thinking with their hearts and making positive changes in the world, and it's a pleasure to do that. I work internationally, and I'm a parent of 2 boys, 11 and just turned 9, and Alane has been a huge asset and contribution to my life and sanity. And today we're going to be talking about many things, as much as we can get to, right? So parents, are you feeling anxious, overwhelmed, worried about everything, really worried about your kids, thinking surely you could do better, thinking you just don't do enough, too angry, tired, crying? Are there issues with who you're co-parenting with, or your partner around your child, because of your sensitivity and their lack of sensitivity, or because of both of your sensitivities, or because of your child's sensitivity? That could just be like a whole 6-part series right there, right? ADD parenting. You use this word, Alane, to describe what I was talking to you about, feeling whiplashed from your child's changing moods and attitudes.
So I had a good conversation in the comments with somebody on Instagram about that feeling, and you brought it up. It's wow. And you're talking about your children at their ages, and the person on Instagram and I were talking about our young adult children, so it's the ongoing experience.
And there's been lots of feedback based on the videos you've been posting about empty nest and what that brings up.
Yeah.
And the paradox, I love how you phrase that, the paradox of holding them close, but needing to let them go. So there's lots here, right?
There's plenty.
Yeah.
And what's the advantage to being here live on Zoom? Well, so many. One, I can read your comments. I'm not really capable of reading them on YouTube and Instagram while we're also on Zoom. And your comments will be in the recording that you will receive later. We can only send you the recording if you're here on Zoom, right? But the big one is if you're here live, toward the end, we're going to do a drawing and offer a free ticket to our masterclass, which we're teaching on Friday, January 20th, 1 hour later than this. So let's see, 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time in US and Canada, and then you can do the translations. So we will be drawing that. So it's not too late. If you want to come to Zoom, just look at on Insta, look in our bios for the link, or on YouTube in the comments below, and go ahead and register. And it should give you the Zoom link. So I guess you can let us know if it doesn't. I think Kwame is keeping an eye on YouTube for a little bit, but she's in the Philippines and it's very late there. So I've asked her to thank you for being here, Kwame, and don't stick around any longer than you want to. Although she's young, she's a party girl, she could stay up for a while. All right. So I want to invite everyone who's here live on Zoom to please tell us who you're parenting, if you are parenting at the moment. And let me tell you, even if they're adults, you are parenting. And because it just never stops. There was another person who said something on Instagram about how one of her daughters is away at first year of university and how she's feeling so homesick and having such a hard time. And I responded to her that my son just finished his junior year, and he said, I think maybe now I get how to do this. So those are the university students, and definitely they still need our safe landing pads that we offer them. And, and I think for me, I can be in anxiety easily around my parenting. And I guess I just want to say that I just want to remind us that the research says that we question ourselves and think we're not doing enough. And we rate ourselves as more disorganized as parents. But when objective observers come into our households, they say actually that we are doing just as good a job as anybody else who doesn't have this trait. So to me, that's just such a profound thing that I feel often so inadequate, or like there's a million other things I coulda, shoulda, woulda done. And that's I like to do this. No, I do not want you to do shoulda, coulda, woulda, because with a sensitive reactive brain, you're thinking of hundreds of more things than your cohort that are not highly sensitive. So if we shoulda, coulda, woulda ourselves, then we're always going to feel overwhelmed. So that's just sort of what I've been thinking about today. I see we have an 8-year-old in our Zoom room. We have parents of an 8-year-old, a 4-year-old, a 19-year-old, 16, 7, 13, 10, 8. We've got the gamut. I don't see any parents of babies here, but sometimes we do have the parents of infants as well. And we're happy to talk about what your experience is of parenting today with the children that you have, or the inner child that you have as well.
I see someone is here with a 2-year-old girl. And
I see a 13-month-old.
13-month, way ahead of where I was. I wasn't tuned into this conversation until it felt really problematic. Excellent. Welcome.
I think Asher and I were talking, and I think Elaine told me I was highly sensitive maybe when Asher was about 9 or 10. I mean, of course, we all knew. Right. You knew from the get-go that you were having more thoughts and feelings. And I have this blog I wrote just in the last few months called Did You Grow Up Feeling Wrong? And in there I talk about, what would it have been like if our parents just thought that all those feelings we had were wonderful because they knew we were the canaries who were really leading with emotional leadership, and they loved giving us all the time in the world to make careful decisions and to transition from one place to the other. And, they just honored how completely difficult we were to raise.
Not to pathologize the outbursts that seem contrary to what an outburst should look like, right? Or
Right.
the tantrums or the obstinate behavior, like to not pathologize that.
Right. I mean, imagine. But why do we get pathologized? I mean, just, what the picture I wanted to have for this event was a bunch of parents standing around in the parking lot of the school talking. Does that
Nice.
happen in Canada?
Yeah.
That school drop off, you're like, oh, finally there's some adults to talk to. And
Am I
then
normal?
I know, I just remember standing in those communities, and I mean, from age 2, the first preschool, to age 18, senior year of high school, as we call it in the US, and always feeling like the fish out of water.
Mm,
Like, and rarely, even though I'm doing this work, heal or heal thyself, right?
right.
Rarely did I feel like the rainbow fish. You all know that book? Look it up. I need to read it. I don't think I've read it on my YouTube channel yet. I read books for sensitive kids on my YouTube channel. I'll do rainbow fish later today. But the rainbow fish went around feeling so different. And then they started sharing what their special shiny scales that made them different. And then all of a sudden, they were part of a more beautiful crowd. So you can imagine if we're
Nice.
standing in the parking lot having like this reaction to something horrendous that the principal said, or one of my clients was struggling with the principal of her child's school, the head of school, who kept like firing teachers, and she was really feeling these feelings strongly about it. And she's standing around the parking lot and everybody's just acting like everything's business as usual, like a new teacher in our kids' class.
Right.
And, it's like, I want to share it. I see those differences as the shiny, beautiful things. But gosh, Julie, we're going to be posting this one shortly. But the little clip where you were talking about having to remind yourself about the awareness, like, hello, you're highly sensitive. That's why you're thinking this way. And it's a thing.
Yeah.
So,
The awareness piece. That's a big one.
ugh,
I'd love to, and what are people thinking, feeling? What do they need right now?
yeah. How can we support you?
Even the way you say that, Elaine, I'm like, I already feel supported. The way you ask that. Yeah. How can we support you?
Well, I mean, that's what I was getting from that conversation we had earlier, is like, we need somebody, we need our friend. I think I wrote in the description of that video that will be coming out shortly, and up on YouTube shortly, that we need a little angel on our shoulder saying, tap, tap, tap. Hello there, my love. You have a really superpowered brain. You have bigger and stronger and more emotions. You have bigger and stronger and more thoughts, and it's all good. And it means, hey, maybe you need a break. I think in the description, I might have said, maybe you need an effing break.
It's not just any ordinary break.
Yeah. Well, that list that you read, Julie,
Yeah.
let me see if I can find it and put it in the chat. Or can you easily copy
I have
that
it. Yeah.
and throw it in the chat?
Mhm.
Because I would like to, I'd like to know, these were our brainstorms about our own experiences as sensitive moms. We'd like to know which ones resonate with you. Okay, there are a couple of questions coming in. Yay. Thank you so much. We really love to hear from you. Here's one. I'm new to understanding myself as highly sensitive, and I'd love to know more about this intense awareness and how it makes me a good mom instead of an overreactive normal person. This person, she put LOL. So, and I get it.
Mm-hmm.
Start with that,
Same
Julie.
Do I?
Yeah.
Well, I think maybe just back to this awareness piece, that I think it's wonderful that you're in this place of understanding. It's almost like discovery, like, wow, what can I discover here? Some people, they come to me as clients and they're like, I feel so lost and I'm so disoriented, not necessarily specifically speaking to their temperament or a trait of HSP, but just in life. And often the reframe is like, well, what are you discovering here? what can be found. And so I'm just experiencing your question that way. It's the way I, started to label my sensitivity or understand it, felt like this huge discovery and treasure, that of course I had to learn to manage and to welcome as well. But there is something to be said, and I wouldn't overstate the importance of understanding. Like, this is a place of deep understanding and discovery. And that the way you talk about it, Alane, there's so many gifts to understanding it.
Yeah, there are. I guess when you're in the fray,
You sure about that?
It might not feel that way when you're in the fray, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So
that's the piece you'll speak to right now.
Yeah, well, let me just say, there are 9 temperaments, and sensitivity to one's environment is one of the 9 temperaments identified by Chess and Thomas, and they're sort of the leaders in temperament research since the mid-60s. And you can look them up all over the place. There's lots of good stuff from them. But we are more than just highly sensitive to our environment, and having the trait of high sensitivity, you all know that includes more than the environment, right? We have more emotional sensitivity. We have, more deep processing. So, but we also have these 9 things. And one of mine is a more negative mood. And if you follow me, you've heard me say this, I'm a glass half empty person. So, it's great because we can play off of each other. So, I'm the one who's saying, this sucks. And it's really hard. But because it sucks, we need tools. And what pops into my mind with this person is the whole idea that I've been talking a lot about, the 80-20 rule. And that means that 80% of what you're thinking is extra. Like the person who is, that's another t-shirt we need. I'm going to have merchandising. If anybody wants to be in charge of merchandising for a cut, let me know.
Be a good one.
I'm sure there are shirts out there that say extra, but then on the back, I want to have it say something about being highly sensitive. But, it's just so much. 80% is extra compared to the other parents standing in the parking lot or in your new mom support group. They are not thinking those extra 80 things. And we could call it 1 out of 5, right? So if your brain is giving you 5 times more information and more reactions than you actually need, now, so like me, I'm like, shut the heck up. Look, I'm trying not to swear. It makes me swear. And but the better way is to say, okay, awesome. I've got 100 ideas here. Now, let's hear a shout out in the chat. Do you know what I'm talking about? When you have 100 ideas and everybody else just has like 4, maybe 15. So I have 100 ideas here and I have to let go of 80 of them. And that is heck hard because I've learned it's a skill, right? To not get into decision fatigue and to quickly prioritize. But then, like after we hang up this call, I'm going to be thinking about the other 80. And some highly sensitive people will need a nap because of that. I'm going to need to go sweat somehow because it'll give me anxiety thinking about the other 80. So it's really, really great that you're thinking of 100 and you really I say 20, maybe you really only need 5 because you're such a superpowered thinker. And why do we have 20, maybe a little more than 20% of people who are thinking this way and parenting this way? Well, because we're raising kids like this, many of us, and we need a minority. And remember, this minority is in every species. They've documented it in 100, but they're so varied. They're from like flies to birds to fish, of course, mammals, that the researchers think this. I'm not a scientist, but I love them. The scientists think that it's probably in every single species because we need a small percentage who are going to think and contemplate and feel before they act. And we need a majority who are just going to frickin' act and get things done. Right? So that's why. I think that's a great question. I'm going to keep that question because I think it's important that we delve into it in more detail in our masterclass on Friday, Julie. Okay. Because I think it's a global experience. Well, and that's one of the 5 to thrive, right? Yeah. Being community with others. So, give this woman some love in the chat here and let her know if you know what she's talking about.
There's so much to say. Yeah. It's a poignant question. How does this make me a good parent, instead of an overreactive one?
Well, and trust the scientists. Trust me, Auntie Alane. Actually, my family, I'm Auntie Laney, so that sounded weird when I said that. And trust me when I tell you that you are a great parent. You just have to trust yourself a little more. Somebody says, I'd love to hear strategies to support busy, messy, chaotic teens. I'm curious how many of your teens are highly sensitive. But the thing is, I mean, I'm actually still busy and chaotic and messy. And I want to remind everybody that if you have high sensitivity and also high IQ, high intelligence, that's called twice exceptional, and it adds together and equals, I hate to say the word disability, but it equals big challenges. And for those kids, the chaos and the messiness is actually just part and parcel of the whole deal. So it's really important. Was I talking to you, Julie, when I said you just have to go? Oh no, I was talking to my friend Julia. You just have to go camping more. You have to go. Oh, no, I don't think it was Julia. I can't remember. I was talking to somebody and they were concerned about screen time and about how busy their kids were. And I said, plan more camping trips. I wish I could remember who that was. Sorry. And because we can pull them out, and also to plan events, things to do with your kids that you might enjoy, or make your other parent or your sister, or your, the aunts and uncles and the grandparents, if they're young enough, really get them to take your kids to do things. And here's the rule. Things, and remember, I prefer you don't do it, because I want you to go to your favorite yoga class or go watch, the new Avatar movie or whatever it is you want to do to just chillax, go to the spa if you do that kind of thing. So, but here's the trick for these kids that are too busy. You have to plan events that they can brag about at school, that they'll feel proud of. So, maybe you go to the climbing gym, or you go whitewater rafting, or you rent something cool, or one of the things that was so amazing for us was we had a friend with a stand-up paddleboard. And so our kid got to tool around on the water by himself, within sight, on a stand-up paddleboard. Who gets to do that? Especially we're not affluent. And so it was just an easy thing. And, things like that, things that are cool, but they get them out in nature. And then in terms of the messy kids, I really think the best possible recommendation, this is not a parenting workshop. I do those every month. I'm about the parents right now. So what I'm going to say, the best thing you can do is close the door to their room. And one other little hack is you can hire someone if you can afford it, but if not, you get your extended family, your best friend from college, they'll do it for you. They'll do anything for you. And you get them to come and organize the kids' room with the kid. If they're teens, you're not the person anymore. So close the door, put on your oxygen mask, and go, and your noise canceling headphones, and get the heck out of that mess.
I'm listening.
The 9 temperaments is Chess and Thomas. And I'm pretty sure if you look on my YouTube channel, you can, Katie put in there. Thank you, Katie, for answering that. If you look on my YouTube channel, I'm pretty sure I have a couple of videos about it. And one is about the Choose Love movement. I talked about the 9 temperaments there. But in my work, in my monthly master classes, we do temperament every year. So I have a couple of really big temperament workshops that you can purchase, or you can become a member, and then you can be a part of the next one, which probably will be May. I like my monthly themes.
That one's so valuable. The 9 temperaments.
Oh my
They're
gosh.
all valuable. But
I'm trying to get a special guest for my workshop, for my relationships workshop in February. It's a secret.
Oh yeah,
guest, but it's a temperament expert on February 3rd. So as soon as I get a yes, crossing my fingers, I got his wife in the background, kind of neat. You know how that is. helping me get a yes. So we will be having temperament discussion in the relationships workshop for sure. Okay, parents, what do you need? I see people do really relate to our list.
What's there not to relate to there, right? It's like
Yeah.
the universal experience of parenting and then amplified
Yeah.
for HSPs.
So true. Oh, here come a couple things. Can you see them?
Yeah,
Want
I
to read them?
do. Sure. Here's one. I feel like I do all the right self-care things. I sneak into every spare second and still get overwhelmed so easily. Is there such a thing as getting overwhelmed less often as an HSP parent?
Yes, there is. And, if anybody wants to jump on the recording and join us for a little live coaching, I think we still have a few minutes left. Yeah, we still have time.
Yeah.
But, you know, do you have an easy answer for this, Mom?
Is there such a thing? I feel like you're really good with easy answers. I always like have a deep inhale and then exhale because I know exactly what this person is, or I can relate to it.
Yeah, I mean, and
Preparation,
yeah, prior and
insight.
proper preparation. Yeah, insight. Well, she's on the right path because she has the awareness
Mm-hmm.
that it happens so easily. And I think, you know, we talk about optimal level of arousal and how do you get that? Like that's where you're not underwhelmed and bored, and that's why you're not overwhelmed and overstimulated. Where's that perfect middle spot? And how do you get it? Like, just remember what we learned from Gottman. Gottman did a ton of research on couples, like thousands, and discovered that when one is overwhelmed or overstimulated, the brain stops working. There can be no meaningful conversations. No one can learn anything. And so their opinion is put the brakes on when you get there until you're back. But the trick is to prevent it. And it's hard when crap's coming at you every minute, it feels like. When you're in the trenches of parenting, your kids are there. And I made a joke on an Instagram live last night about how I can have an anxiety attack. My kid's in India. Just thinking about him was overwhelming. And so, like, I'm definitely free of the child in the house. And still, I feel overwhelmed a good deal of the time about him and about parenting. And we care so much. Okay, so
I relate to this one too, coming in.
it's chemicals. That's all I'm going to say to this person. It's just chemicals. So what you have to do is burn them off. Your overwhelm, your parenting overwhelm is your saber-toothed tiger. You've all seen these talks about anxiety and the adrenaline. It's adrenaline. So you have to do, like, imagine what it would take to fight the saber-toothed tiger. I hope that's not too gory for our sensitive people. Whatever you would have to do to lift the Volkswagen, or fight the tiger, you need to do something that requires that much exertion several times a day. And then you will feel so much less overwhelmed. And in between, always have those noise canceling headphones on. I'm going to become an affiliate for some noise canceling.
Exactly.
Okay. What else do we have, Julie?
Well, just on the heels of that, there's another comment I'll get back to, but I find I really over prepare for almost everything to head off any issues that might come up. And I find it really overwhelming constantly doing that work. How do we do good preparation but not overload ourselves with it? Such a
Man,
great
I
question.
write everything down.
Okay.
I have, lists and schedules and plans, and I make the kids have their own. As young as 4, they can create their get ready list. I like to, okay, this is something I've been talking about a lot lately, the last year. You don't know this, most of you parents who are here are quite a bit younger than me, but there was a time, maybe when you were growing up, that most families had the same meal every Monday, right? And the same meal every Tuesday, or maybe there was a choice of 2 things. You might have either, pot roast or pork chops on Monday. And then on Tuesday, you have some kind of Italian food. And on Friday, it's always pizza, and like that. So create systems in your life so that you don't have to decide. There's nothing wrong with being over prepared, says the woman who leaves the house with 3 bags every single day. But we can
Oh my
do it
goodness.
better, right? We can, have the basket by the door that all the things that go every day always live in. And we can have the extra food bag that lives in the car. And, the perfect bar in the bottom of your kid's backpack, for
The
emergencies.
extra socks and underwear.
Yeah, in California, we have go bags in all of our cars. And actually, it's made me feel a lot better, because we have the fires and the earthquakes, and now we have flooding, and you just never know when you're going to be evacuated, is how it feels the last, 5 to 10 years. And so everybody has a duffel bag in their car with a change of clothes and food and, all the kind of emergency stuff. And wow, that's so perfect for HSPs. That's awesome. Have your go bag. And so I don't think it's a bad thing to be so prepared, because I would be a hypocrite if I said it was. But at the same time, you want to take the level of decision fatigue out of it, dial it down a little bit.
You always say, Alane, sorry to interrupt. And you said this on my podcast and I replayed in my mind, if it's good for the HSP, then it's going to benefit everyone.
Absolutely. Like the go bags, for example. So
I have the Kleenex because I've come prepared. I know you need it. Here it is.
What else is coming
Somebody's
in?
asking about tantrums. Sometimes I'm working hard to strengthen my ability to regulate my nervous system during tantrums. Tantrums are so overstimulating for me. Sometimes I succeed in staying with her through it. Sometimes I burst into tears. Sometimes I want to scream.
Gosh, that is so real. I remember those days. Oh my gosh, I had one of these over Christmas break. My adult child was having a tantrum, and it's so overwhelming and overstimulating. Just wait till they're like a 6-foot-tall man having their tantrum at you.
God. Wait, it doesn't end, Alane?
That's not helpful. It doesn't end because overstimulation, if you're raising sensitive kids, especially overstimulation. One of the things that I did as a parent, and I think my son is pretty good at doing this for himself now, is I just always made sure that he had the right recipe to be more even, more regulated, self-regulated and co-regulated. And the recipe for him was the right amount of exercise, the right amount of sleep, and the right amount of nutrition, the right kind and amount of food. And it just turns out like I raised a really intense kid. Intensity is another one of those 9 temperaments. And he and I are both very, very intense. And so he needed a whole lot of all 3 of those things. Like my parent friends made fun of me because of the gigantic lunch that he had to carry with him. Because really, he needed to eat lunch 3-4 times a day in between breakfast and dinner. And, some days 25% of them would be eaten, but there were days when the entire giant basket was emptied because he had eaten it all. So, so first of all, I'm going to say, really, really try to get that right find that right recipe for your kid, experiment. And second of all, it's really, I think for me, for sensitive parents, it's really important, first of all, to have help. And second of all, I was going to say is to train your child that you can be with them in a tantrum for a certain amount of time, and then you have to take a break. You can even make a joke about it. I think we all need a break right now. Let's take 5, and then we can come back to this tantrum. And that's what Gottman says, right? If your heart rate gets over whatever your good heart rate is, they say 100 for average people. And if your heart rate gets over 100, but maybe yours is 90 when you're elevated, then you have to take a break. So it's really important to train them to take a break. Sometimes I say that the parent can say, I'm going to sit here with you because I know you're having a hard time. And I'm going to need to put my headphones on, or I'm going to close my eyes and take some deep breaths. So this cutest video on Instagram, a little reel of a 5-year-old brother telling his 3-year-old brother who was having a tantrum to guiding him through conscious breathing.
Oh my God.
But remember that whenever there's hard things, because what comes up for me is when in the tantrum question is about tantrums with your co-parent, right? And the same deal. But what makes me think, what I think about that is we need to talk to our children and our co-parents and our co-workers, whomever, about what we're going to do when things do get overwhelming, and to have a plan for how we're going to manage that. Like you can't talk about it in the middle of the tantrum.
Yeah.
But I agree. I hear this from parents all the time. I can't handle the tantrums. They're so overstimulating for me. And my heart goes out to you. And it is so hard. And you have a limited capacity. And you know what? It's really good to model that for your children. Like there's a time limit for how long we can do this. So as long as you talk to them about it, when there's no tantrum going on, then when the tantrum happens, you can say, okay, let's set the timer. I'm going to grab my cube timer. I'm not an affiliate for this, but it has 1, 3, 5, and 10 minutes on it. And you just set it down with the amount of time on top. And if you have it on, and I get these for the kids, and then they can time themselves brushing their teeth or whatever. And then you set it, and then the beep happens, right? And then you say, okay, let's take a break. We can come back to this. And because you need a break. And then I guess my other thing is parents, you can do a lot of your parenting right outside the window. These are French doors here with glass. And even with the very young children, you can see them, they can see you, but it's really important to be able to step outside and just get a quick breath of fresh air. Close your eyes for 10 seconds and know that, teach them that that's what you're doing. And you're here for them and you're taking a break. Model it. So I hear you. And crying is good. Isn't it interesting when you cry, when your kid's crying and you cry with them? Let's see. I feel like I do all the right self-care things. I sneak it into every spare second and still get overwhelmed so easily. Oh, is that one we already read?
I think we read that one.
Yeah.
There was another one here about a teenage daughter. Do you want me to read that out loud? My teenage daughter is an HSP as well. She's navigating high school and new relationships and extracurriculars, all of that. I feel terrible because I'm overwhelmed when I get home from work and I worry that I don't give her enough support. I don't want her to feel like she's overlooked or her feelings aren't valid.
I have a really good workshop on resilient teens. And I think I did a lot of research for that and, beyond what my own experience is. And one of the most important things is that we teach them their own self-care and that we surround them, we give them mentors. Now, remember, once they're teens, it's not your job anymore. They're watching you. So really the best thing you can do is to take really good care of yourself, right? And plan those special events with them, go out and get your nails done or go kayaking or whatever, do special mother-daughter, mother-son, father-daughter, father-son, they, them, daughter and son, whatever, do special dyad trips, especially if you have more than one kid, but so that you fill the bucket when you're not exhausted. She's exhausted too. She probably hardly wants to be with you. So demonstrate that self-care, invite her to join you. If there's something that's really working for you, I think it's really nice to invite them to join us, but you have to do it. And the best thing, and even for the parent of a 1-year-old, 13-month-old, you are even now starting your parenting journey by modeling the self-care. The best thing you can do for yourself happens to also be the best thing you can do for the kids. Take care of you and be gentle and watch your language. And, everybody knows you shouldn't use harsh language with the kids. And everybody knows we all have tantrums ourselves and do it. But I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about your language with yourself. Watch your harsh language with yourself. That question yourself. It's normal that we do it, but we do have to have that little angel tapping us and saying, hey, you're good. You're good. You're doing a great job. You're doing enough. If you lead with love, with your nice, open, giant HSP heart, then you're doing great. And you have to, from the 12-step programs, we say, take what you like and leave the rest. Take your 1 and 5 and leave the rest. This person says when their kids were little and tantruming, they would start to ohm loudly for themselves And eventually the kids would join and we would ohm together, often ending in tears and laughter. You'll know my kid's a big Buddhist now, but I used to always play Pema Chodron's talks, all her recorded books. I had them all on CD and I played them in the car, and he hated her voice, but it could interrupt anything.
There's a comment that came in that I'll read, but it just, again, I'm reminded about how helpful it is when I hear you say to me, to us, to Facebook, to Instagram, this is hard work.
Yeah.
And I can never hear that enough, because it's like that. It's okay. It's hard. You're doing your best. You're doing a good job. It's hard. It's hard.
Yeah. So we're saying that to all of you right now.
Mm-hmm.
And when it's hard, what like if someone you loved and cared for was having a really hard time, what would you do? Would you say, what the hell is wrong with you? No, of course you wouldn't. You would say, oh, my dear sweet one, what can I do to support you?
Maybe I should record your voice saying that, and we can all play it in our ears. Tap our shoulder. Somebody's comment, all this is resonating so much as I listen while making the usual Saturday night dinner in a full-on HSP household. I just told my husband before listening in here to lie down and turn on his noise-canceling earphones because our 8-year-old son has a friend over. We are all constantly trying to tag team and navigate our HSP symptoms. God, thanks for normalizing all this.
I love that. What great mentoring, and advising you did for your husband. And Julie, you were talking about that as well. You want to say something about that?
Well, just, as you said, great mentoring for your husband. To me, what comes up is like, that takes work too, right? It's like managing not only the children or the child or those we're caring for, but it's like managing the partner, and that's some more emotional labor.
Yeah. I mean, we have to nurture our relationships as well, which is, February is love month. And we have a new blog coming out about all the questions that highly sensitive people have about their relationships. That's hard too. I mean, all relationships, I made up the title. Did I tell you this, Julie? I made up the title for my February workshop, and I can't remember quite what it is, but it's basically, how to be in relationship as an HSP when really the cave sounds more appealing. Just want to go hide in the cave and be alone.
And yet we get, it's all about relationship, right?
Yeah. And that's who we are. I mean, that's the defining characteristic really of highly sensitive people, is deep, intimate relationships.
And touching that sensitive heart.
Yeah. Hey, it's time for our drawing.
Okay.
And you can chat us if you win and you can't come live on Friday. I'm willing to do one more drawing for a backup. But what this is a free pass to our masterclass that we're doing on the 20th of January at 1 p.m. And Julie, would you be able to put 1 p.m.
Pacific.
Eastern? 1 p.m.
Oh, Eastern. Sorry, Eastern.
1 p.m. Eastern, U.S.
Eastern. Okay.
And 10 a.m. Pacific, and a European could tell us what time that is. I think it's 7 p.m. in Central European time and 6 p.m. in the UK. So could you throw the link in the Zoom chat for that event so people could see it? Thank you so much.
Of course.
So what we're going to do is we're going to take your questions and really specifically dive into them, kind of like we've done here, but we're going to do a presentation first, and then just live Q&A and scenarios, and literally coach and talk our way through it like we do in all of our master classes. And we're really so excited about it. So thank you so much for being here live and being a part of it. It's always so much more fun when we do it live. I'm closing my eyes so the drawing is legit. And the winner is Laura A. Are you still here, Laura? I mean, you are. Laura A. So,
Woohoo! Congratulations.
yay! So fun to give something away. And Julie,
She
I know
said yay.
good. On your podcast, you
Yeah.
always do. Okay,
Yeah.
Laura, can you give me your email, please? Oh, I probably have it in the Eventbrite. But if you put it in the chat, it'd be so helpful to me. Okay, so as we're closing here, I want to ask everyone on Instagram, YouTube, and Zoom, if you would please give us one piece of advice for the parents in this community, for highly sensitive parents. What is one sort of anti thing that you might say to them? Thank you, Laura. What is something that you would be able, that you want to suggest or advise? Throw it in the comments or the chat now. And if you're watching the recording, still do it. What is your advice, your kind, loving, angel on the shoulder thing that you want to say to all of us? We do this, Elaine and I do this at the end of all of our workshops. We have everybody write something, an affirmation or some advice, something loving, and we put it in a basket and everybody draws one and takes it home. And I have one in my car that we got at the last workshop, and it says, remember to breathe, in somebody else's handwriting. And it does feel like an angel on my shoulder. It's on an index card, and it's folded into the cup holder. So here they come.
They're so good. Are you going to read them?
Oh, yes, please do. I'll look at Instagram and see if people are putting them in there. And I can.
Okay. Thank you, everyone. Embrace JOMO, joy of missing out. I can just rest in that one for a while.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Lovely.
Don't compare yourself to non-HSP parents. Thank you for that one. Be gentle with yourself. Beautiful. Loving patience. You're doing a great job. Yes, you are. Being honest about what you need to those around you feels liberating when they accept it more than you expect.
Mm-hmm.
Being honest about what you need to those around you feels liberating when they accept it more than you expect. Mine is to be kind to yourself. You're raising wonderful people. That's beautiful. This is a beautiful one. They're all beautiful. My high sensitivity is my superpower. What's yours? You shared yours already, Alane, today?
I've shared a few.
Yeah, we should. It's all yours.
I'm just going to say, I love you and I respect you and I trust you. And I know that you're always coming from a kind heart. So when you read these, if you registered on Zoom, it's not too late. The registration's still open. If you're watching this live and you want to register on Zoom to get the recording, I'm going to send you the recording and I will copy all of these from the chat in the Zoom workshop and include them in the email so you can have them. And you could print them out and cut them into little strips and roll them up and put them in your spirit box and draw one every day. How about that?
I want to add one before we end, which pertains to some medicine for me, which is find a way to move your body.
Yes, for sure. My partner always makes fun of me because I have a 5-pound weight in my TV chair. So I do, like curls and these things when I'm watching TV. Every little bit helps. So thank you for that reminder, Julie.
You reminded me with the overstimulation piece, right? The chemicals, we've got to move.
Yeah, you do. Otherwise, they're still there. You're still ready. So everybody's so appreciative of all these wonderful bits of wisdom and advice. And like I said, I will send them out to you. Just as we're closing here, let's tell people how to reach us. And please do mention your podcast. So why don't you go first?
What am I supposed to be doing? I was just reading the
tell
comments.
people how to get a hold of you and and what you're offering these days.
JulieInConversation.com. Alane's been on my podcast 3 times, maybe 4. She'll be back. I'll be sharing some bits from this on the podcast. So JulieInConversation.com is where you can find me. I'm on Spotify, Apple Podcasts. I did a whole series on motherhood called Motherhood Let's Create a Village with all kinds of beautiful experts, including Alane, from tantrums to racism and discrimination. So you can check that out. And I'm a coach, and I do intuitive readings, and I facilitate dance experiences, lots of stuff. Just go to julianconversation.com. I'm so grateful to be in connection with you, Alane, and with all of you. Looking forward to getting to meet you some more on Friday, hopefully.
Yeah, exactly. And Julie your podcast is phenomenal, and you have phenomenal guests, but even just sometimes it's just you sharing your experience, strength, and hope and wisdom. And I love your podcast, and I can't recommend it highly enough.
Oh, thank you.
And also, if you want to see Julie moving in beautiful places with awesome music, be sure and follow her on Instagram. And at the same time, I'll say that too, follow both of us everywhere so you can just stay in touch. And we're really responsive on Instagram, and I'm trying to do better with Facebook and YouTube. So I really hope to see you there. It's one of the main things I want from you is to follow my stuff and share it.
Mm-hmm.
Because, my mission is to reach almost 2 billion highly sensitive people in the world. Why? Because of the youth and the children.
Mm-hmm.
Let's get them raised up differently.
Mm-hmm.
Let's let them feel blessed and honored and the amazing people that they are. And I think that would just be the most beautiful thing in the world. So share, please.
Mm-hmm.
My big thing that I'm offering in the world are these 2 master classes a month. And they're relatively expensive, but if you become a member of Are You Highly Sensitive, they're really, really affordable. I was joking with Julie that the one on Friday we're charging $50 for, but that's really, really cheap. And so I'm going to raise the rates quite a bit, but then still have a sliding scale. No one turned away for lack of funds. And in my membership, Are You Highly Sensitive, it's $37 a month, which is really inexpensive, 37 US. But I have also no one turned away for lack of funds. So if truly you can't afford $37, I'll give you a scholarship for half off or all off, because I really, really, really want to help. And these are, you get them, you can attend live and ask questions. And if you can't come live, you have a special members doc where you can put your questions in ahead of time, and I answer them and I send you the recording. So it's win-win-win. So thank you so much for being here. We hope to see you Friday, where we're going to go even deeper and hear from you there too.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you all so very much for being here.
Thank
Bye,
you,
all.
everyone. Bravo. And I just closed the video here on Instagram.
I think we're still live on YouTube.
Okay.
I'm not quite sure what to do.
I see that. Yeah.
Because it's on Huami's. Let me see here. I think if I just copy the chat, Julie, then we can close this meeting, and that will be for sure how we can get out.
Okay.
Let me copy the chat so I can read it all later. And I will be looking at the comments on YouTube for those of you who attended there. Control all, control copy. Man, I'm high tech.
Yes, you are. I'm so impressed.
Julie, do you want to do a little decompress on our private room?
Yeah, of course.
Or do you need to go now?
No, it's good.
Okay.
Are you okay with the YouTube live ordeal?
I'm just gonna end the meeting, and then it will.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Okay. Bye for now.
So wait, how are we? Oh, do I log back in?
I'm going to I'll send you the link to the Alane and Julie room that we used yesterday.
Okay, perfect.
Or you can go to that calendar listing.
Okay.
All right, I'll see you in a minute.
Okay, thanks.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.